Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya
Narayanam Namaskritya
Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Did you join Zoom?
Bhagavati Uttamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. I sent no department. Okay, verse is not there yet. Tada rajastamo bhava kamalo bhadayaschaye cheta etair anavidham sthitam sattve prasidati evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogataha bhagavat tattva vignanam mukta sangasya jayate. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 1, Text 15. You have to quit the existing meeting, I think. It opened, right? In the...
There's a link on the bottom.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I gave that also, no? Okay. Can you see that now? Kechit kevalaya bhaktya Vasudeva parayana Agham dhunvanti katsnyena Niharam iva bhaskaraha. You would like to repeat? Kechit kevalaya bhaktya Vasudeva parayana Agham dhunvanti katsnyena Niharam iva bhaskaraha. Kechit kevalaya bhaktya Vasudeva parayana Agham dhunvanti katsnyena Niharam iva bhaskaraha. Kechit kevalaya bhaktya Vasudeva parayana Agham dhunvanti katsnyena Niharam iva bhaskaraha. Kechit kevalaya bhaktya Vasudeva parayana Agham dhunvanti katsnyena Niharam iva bhaskaraha. I'll go to translation. We don't have much time. Only a rare person who has adopted complete, unalloyed devotional service to Krishna can uproot the weeds of sinful actions with no possibility that they will revive. He can do this simply by discharging devotional service, just as the sun can immediately dissipate fog by its rays. Please repeat. Only a rare person who has adopted complete, unalloyed devotional service to Krishna can uproot the weeds of sinful actions with no possibility that they will revive. He can do this simply by discharging devotional service, just as the sun can immediately dissipate fog by its rays. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So it's one of the biggest purports in Bhagavatam. It will take about 15 minutes or so to read. So I'm not reading the purport, but I tried to summarize or put together all the information Prabhupada gave in the purport in the slides today. I tried something different. I hope this will be useful for you. Help you all appreciate Prabhupada's purport and the technicality of the sinful reactions, the mesh of karmic reactions that we are involved in, and how Bhakti addresses all of that. So if you see the verse, Sukadeva Goswami is saying, Kechit Kevalaya Bhaktya. Some people, Kechit means some people, by doing Kevala Bhakti, unalloyed devotional service, unto Vasudeva Parayanaha, completely attached to Vasudeva, Krishna. By that, what they will do? Agham Dhunvanti. They will cleanse all their sinful reactions. Agam Dhunvanti. Katsnena. Not partially, completely. Katsnena means completely. Just like Niharam Iva Bhaskaraha. Bhaskara means sun. Niharam means fog. During foggy times, we cannot see each other. Even if the person is there right in front, if it is foggy, I have experienced this. You cannot even see that person. That means it's very unclear. Because of sinful reactions, our actions are clouded. And we commit various sinful reactions because of that. It is just like fog. And Bhaskara means Krishna consciousness. The sun can dissipate all that fog. Now, Sukadeva Goswami has told this verse. This is the 15th verse of 6th canto, 1st chapter. Before that, Parikshit Maharaj asks few questions. Dear Sukadeva Goswami, how will people be liberated? Because 5th canto, if you see, a lot of description about hellish planets and suffering of living entities. So Parikshit Maharaj was concerned how they will be liberated. And Sukadeva Goswami, prior to explaining this verse, has explained two other concepts. How they can be liberated, which is first by cleansing their sinful reactions. The first method he has suggested was Karmakanda rituals or Prayaschitta, which is called atonement. This is a word used in Christian religion also. They go to church and all do all of that, atonement. There is a similar concept in Karmakanda. To nullify something, you have to do something. So that is atonement, Prayaschitta. But Parikshit Maharaj, he has rejected that. Elephant bath. Even if elephant does bathing, comes out and puts the mud. The next, Sukadeva Goswami suggested, based on Gnana, Tapasa Brahmacharyena Samena Damena Tyagena Satya Sauchabhyam Yamena Niyamena Va. So by knowledge, yes, you are right, my dear Parikshit. Just by karmakanda rituals, you cannot get rid of sinful reactions. But by gnana kanda, you can get rid of it. But Sukadeva Goswami himself goes ahead and says, this gnana kanda also won't be enough. And we will see all of that, why it is. And now he is proposing only bhakti can help to cleanse all your sinful reactions and put you on the path to liberation. So that is the context of this verse. So in order to understand and appreciate the details, if you read Prabhupada's purport, you'll be amazed at the details Prabhupada gives, the technical details. In order to appreciate that, I've tried to put together this. To understand the anatomy of sinful reactions, let's look at this diagram. So this represents the seed, the process of progressing the seed. The seed is like a sinful that desire, or there is a seed of sin in our hearts. And that seed gradually progresses, germinates, it gives rise to seedling, and it becomes a sapling and a small plant, and then it becomes a big tree. So this is considered, or this tree is used to explain the whole mesh of sinful reactions or sinful actions, or you can use for both. So let's say the seed is called Prarabdha. Prarabdha means it is there in our hearts. That seed is there for committing sinful action. It is just like the other example you can use is, I think you cannot see the bottom. I don't know how you can see the bottom. It is covered by... Anyway, so that doesn't matter. What I'm saying there is arrows in quiver. Like there is a warrior who is putting his arrows in his quiver, right? They're all arrows and he is taking arrows and shooting one by one. So these arrows are like the seeds waiting in the heart, about to commit sinful action. They're all waiting, but they have not matured yet. So that is a seed. And when they become little mature, it is like he is about to take the arrow in his hand. So that is called kutam. You see these technical words. I want to map it in a way you can understand when Prabhupada talks about this. So this is there is aprarabdha, then there is kutam. And then when that becomes like a sinful desire that has propped up into your mind and you desire to commit it, now he is desired to aim and shoot with his arrow. That is called bijam. It has become a sinful desire by sprouting. This is called seedling. And finally, when all these three are technically also called aprarabdha. Aprarabdha means they are not yet manifested currently. They are going to manifest later in this life or in the next birth. They have not yet manifested. They are lying as seeds or sinful desires. They have not really come to action. Understand? They are called aprarabdha. They are not yet there. On the other hand, which is already shot. He's already shot the arrow and he's already hit that person. That means you already committed that action for which you have to be jailed. That means there is a reaction waiting for you that you have to suffer in this life. That is called phalon mukham or prarabdha karma. You might have heard this word, prarabdha karma. Prarabdha means that sins for which you are suffering in this life, like disease, low birth, ugliness, low beauty, parentage, lack of education, intelligence, lack of riches, chronic diseases, these kind of things. That is called prarabdha karma. You already committed that action and you have to face the reaction in this life. But there are so many things previous in the sea. If you see here, all this aprarabdha is waiting. They're waiting as arrows. And some of them you have taken into your hands and some of them are waiting. You will have to face the reaction for that in the next life. Okay? So there are two ways you can look at this diagram. One is sinful action. Sinful action starts with a seed, gradually becomes progressive and becomes like a tree, and then you commit a sin. That is how you can understand sinful action. Starts with a seed, and then it progresses, and you commit the sinful action, for which you have to face the reaction. Similarly, reaction also progresses like this. When you commit the sinful action, first it is like a seed, and then when it grows and becomes like a big tree, the reaction has to be experienced by you. So these are the two ways by which you can understand this picture. You can understand this also through like the nature. You sow the seed, then it becomes scutum, germination, seedling, and then a mature plant. And why is this a cycle? So why is this a cycle? First you sow the seed, germination, seedling, mature plant. Prarabdha, kutam, bijam. Let's see why this is a cycle. Let's say first, I'm giving an example. Somebody sees, like Ajamila has seen, somebody sees or thinks about illicit sex. That is step one. What will happen? A seed for future sex is sown in the heart, right? When you see something nasty, a seed is sown in your heart about that, whatever you have seen. It doesn't matter what it is. And then it is intensified. That proclivity is intensified. As time progresses, the proclivity is intensified for that sex. That is called kutam. And now the sex desires start to manifest. Not just the proclivity, actual sex desires start to manifest. That is called bijam. And then comes phalonmukham, when you engage in illicit sex. You understand the sequence? You think of it or watch it, then you sow the seed that develops the proclivity for it, then you develop sinful desires, then you commit the action. What will happen after the action? When you commit illicit sex, what will happen? Why the cycle repeats? Anyone? Why does the cycle repeat? The experience you get, more thoughts are sown. Let me do like this again. Let me do with this again. More thoughts are sown by your sinful action. And that sinful action, that thought or that seed intensifies again, becomes a sinful desire, more action. More seeds are sown, more proclivity, more desires, more action. You see, this is a vicious cycle. That is why it is a cycle. And what is the root cause of all this? Shastra says, what is the root cause? This is the tipping point, right? This is the beginning point, triggering point. What is the root cause of all this? The Shastra says the root cause of all this is avidya. Avidya about our constitutional position or ignorance. So let's take another example. So let's say you're watching advertisement of alcohol. I'm just talking generally, not necessarily with devotees. This is anatomy of sinful reactions and actions. So you're watching advertisement of alcohol. What will happen? Or doesn't matter, you're watching some advertisement or a billboard on the, when you're driving on the street. And then some seed will be sown into your heart. Oh, some dhyayato vishayan pumsa, when Krishna says, when you contemplate on the object of senses, sangas teshu pajayate, sangat sanjayate kamaha. That kama stage is coming, third stage. So when you watch an advertisement of alcohol, the seed for drinking alcohol is sown in your heart. And then that intensifies proclivity for drinking. And you come to a point where you intensely desire for drinking that alcohol. And finally, you drink alcohol. And that generates further seeds. I want to drink that. I want to drink this. I want to try that. I want to try this. So many things, right? So this is the vicious cycle. So every moment, the point is every moment, it doesn't matter whether you're driving and watching the billboard, including your thoughts. Every moment, whatever we are doing, physically or mentally or verbally, whatever we are doing, we are sowing some seeds of karma. So every action in ignorance we perform, it doesn't matter physically or mentally, what will happen? It sows a seed of karma. It's like that. You're sowing a seed, and this seed will take a lot of time. Now you sow a seed, you watched a TV ad, and you sowed a seed of thought in your mind. That does not manifest immediately into sinful action. It will take long time to come to that point. Kutam, bijam, to come to the point of phalon mukham, it takes long time. That is why it's very important when you become a devotee not to plant further seeds, because it may not manifest now. Suddenly it will manifest later, and it becomes so forceful, that sinful desire, that phalon mukham, you cannot just stop it. You have to commit it. When that stage comes to that number 5 step, it's a very dangerous step. You have to commit it. So every moment we are doing this, and it does not immediately fructify. And just imagine innumerable seeds we are sowing at every moment. It is, isn't it? By our desires, by our lusty activities, by greed, by hatred, by good words, bad words. See how many seeds every moment we are sowing the seeds. And all of this in the future, they will become these trees. And innumerable future actions, sinful actions because of these seeds, and concomitant reactions. When you perform a sinful action, there has to be reaction. Now you see how dangerous it is. That is why it is said, the famous saying, as a man sows, so shall he reap. That is why it is said like that. Now, if you see, we said ignorance or avidya is the cause of all of this. When you start with ignorance, that is the root cause. And now let's see, when Shukadeva Goswami said you can do karmakanda prayaschitta, what part of this is addressed? So karmakanda prayaschitta, atonement, eliminates this part. What is this part? There are 4 things we talked about: aprarabdha, kutam, bijam, phalonmukham. Phalonmukham is same as prarabdha karma. So what is this part referring to? Prarabdha karma. What is prarabdha karma again? That which is already fructified, for which we are suffering in this life. So karmakanda or prayaschitta, it eliminates prarabdha, meaning, like for example, you've done something. Like in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is this example of Subudhi Rai. So he becomes a Muslim. He goes and asks, how do I atone for this? They say you have to drink hot ghee. Right? So like that, for every sinful action you commit, there is a prayaschitta ceremony, or another fruitive activity is done. That is how you neutralize that. Like a murderer, king says you have to hang this murderer. That is a neutralization for that sinful activity that he has committed. So that is how you eliminate. Uses another fruitive activity to overcome a sinful activity. But it does not free one from ignorance. You see, this part, only the rightmost part of the tree is getting addressed. But we need to address the whole tree, isn't it? Including up to ignorance. So this karmakanda prayaschitta only addresses the right part. And it is like elephant bath. Even if you address it, or a criminal is punished in the prison, elephant takes bath, but outside he comes and commits the same activity. Why? Because the root is not addressed. Yes, you have taken care of some part of the sinful reaction, but what about the root? So these are the examples of prayaschitta. How the king orders a murderer to be hanged, and one is supposed to perform austerity in hot sun, cold water bath, etc., so on and so forth. And now let's look at Gnanakanda. Gnanakanda eliminates which part of the tree? Some part of aprarabdha. Prabhupada talks about, Sukadeva Goswami actually talks about this just in the previous verse. He says, Gnana is helpful than karma, because karma is another fruitive activity. Even though it may remove some part of your sin, you are really not, you come out and you do the same sin again. So better cultivate gnana, because by knowledge, what you will understand, knowledge of scripture, do this, don't do this, isn't it? Do's and don'ts. If you do this, you will get sinful reaction. Don't do this. So by gnana, you can eliminate those seedlings that has come to the surface and stop them from becoming into a tree. So that's why jnanis, they can control with austerity. If they have a desire, karmis, they cannot control. They commit the sinful activity. But the jnanis, because they have the knowledge, they can stop that from becoming the tree. You understand? That is why they stop this from becoming a tree. They stop this in the seedling stage itself. Sukadeva Goswami gives the example of when there is a forest fire, all the dry leaves and creepers on the surface are burned. That means by gnana, you can resolve and not commit sinful action. That is why gnana eliminates this part. But gnana does not eliminate prarabdha. Whatever you committed already, you have to face. Isn't it? Agree? By gnana? Yes. Yes. Very good question. I am coming to that. I'll come to that. So gnana is knowledge. Why are we not addressing ignorance? I'll answer that. So, but understand that gnana, by gnana, you can prevent a sinful seed not to become a big tree. But prarabdha karma, you have to face. The right you have to face. Now, why not left? Why it doesn't address ignorance? Let's see. So, before the sinful desire becomes matured action, they stop by knowledge of scriptures. It is compared to like the burning of dry leaves, but the roots still remain. Why? Why is their ignorance not removed? Because Prabhupada says in the purport, why does ignorance still remain for jnanis? After all, they are getting knowledge from scriptures. Practically, jnanis, no one understands Krishna as he is. Because Krishna cannot be understood through pious activities or speculative knowledge. You understand now? This is but if you don't understand that Vedaischa sarvair ahameva vedaha, the purpose of gnana is to surrender to Krishna, and you go on speculating. You put Krishna in the picture. That is gnana path. You are still ignorant of your constitutional position. Aruhya kruchrena parampadam tataha. You may think you have become liberated, but the moment there is a wanting for enjoyment with another person, because of lack of association in Brahmajyoti, you will fall down to the material platform. That is why you are still considered ignorant. A gnani, in spite of knowledge of scriptures, as long as he does not come to the point of surrendering to Krishna, he is still considered ignorant because he does not understand truly his constitutional position. He only understands his position as spirit soul. He may follow scriptures, but he is not considered fully knowledgeable or ignorant. He is considered ignorant because of inability to understand Krishna. You understand? Clear? You agree that he is still not fully knowledgeable?
Not complete gnana.
Yes. Not full knowledge. Is that clear? Yeah. If he does that, he is a bhakta. He has become a bhakta. But he hasn't done that. He is remaining a gnani only. Yes. Bhakti doing together means they use bhakti for their favor, not that they have gnana inside bhakti. They have bhakti inside gnana. They use Krishna to achieve their goals of becoming one with absolute truth. They may take to chanting of Krishna's name or worshipping Krishna, not with the purpose of becoming a devotee of Krishna, with the purpose of merging into some impersonal effulgence. That is the Gnana path. That is Gnana Mishra Bhakti. Understand? I think she is not fully clear. I will clarify her later. But the point is, Gnani means you should understand they have not come to the point of surrendering to Krishna, and that is still they are ignorant of their constitutional position. So that is why it is that ignorance part is not addressed. And what are the examples of the Gnani or those who have understood the scriptures, followed, like Ajamila, was doing regularly deity worship, studying the Vedas, but he has not addressed that ignorance part, like Shaubhari Muni or Vishwamitra. They're fully knowledgeable people, but because they did not become Krishna conscious, their ignorance was still there. So Gnana, this still remains, as well as the right part of Prarabdha is still there. So Gnana addresses, eliminates some portion of Aprarabdha. So what we have seen so far, Karma addresses Prarabdha. Gnana addresses some portion of Aprarabdha. And now let's see Bhakti. Glory of Bhakti. Both pious and impious activities are actually due to ignorance. Isn't it? We have seen that root cause of all activities, including pious activity. We may think, oh, we are doing some pious activity, doing some yagna or going to some demigod or whatever it is, charity or austerity. But if it is devoid of Krishna's interest, you're not doing for Krishna, pleasing Krishna, you're doing for your own interest, it is still ignorance, even though it is pious activity. So it doesn't matter pious or impious, if it is not done for pleasure of Krishna, it is still ignorance. But when you come to Bhakti, what will happen? Bhaktihi pareshanubhavo viraktihi. If one is advanced in Krishna consciousness, both sinful and pious become distasteful for him. And if one becomes attached to devotional service, his desires for material enjoyment are automatically vanquished without separate endeavor. So this is the reason why Bhakti works. Bhakti eliminates the ignorance about our constitutional position. It tells that we are constitutionally servant of Krishna and we have to engage in activities which please Krishna, not please me. It doesn't matter it is pious or impious. All of that will be sown as seeds and we will have to face the reaction for it, either pious or impious. But Bhakti eliminates all of that. So whatever you are doing, you are not sowing any seed. You see how Bhakti addresses, how Bhakti vanquishes this part? Very interesting, intelligent question. Bhakti eliminates ignorance and there is no sowing of any seeds.
What you're saying is like a person is a true bhakta even though he is associated with lot of different negative things that seed won't go in.
Yes. So that seed of karma won't be sown by a bhakta because he always, I'm of course talking about pure devotional service, but there is another facet to it. I'll come to that. Jiva Goswami points out. So this is the point of bhakti. So that ignorance is removed, there is no seeds being sown. But what about seeds which have already matured? Prarabdha. What about that? Good question by Achintya. How about Prarabdha karma? So Prabhupada points out 3 verses, actually 2 verses, and the other one he paraphrases in the purport. He points out 3 verses which prove that Bhakti eliminates Prarabdha karma also. I'll tell one verse. This is spoken by Devahuti to Lord Kapila to prove that Bhakti eliminates Prarabdha. Yan namadheya shravananu kirtanad yat prahvanad yat smaranad api kvachit swadopi sadyah savanaya kalpate kutah punaste bhagavannu darshanad. She says, if you engage in yan namadheya shravana anukirtanat, if you engaged in the hearing and chanting of the Lord's holy name, which is bhakti, and remembering. It's smaranadapi. Swadopi, if one does that, if one is a dog eater or born in a Chandala family, Swadaha api sadhyaha savanaya kalpate. Immediately he becomes eligible to perform Vedic sacrifices. A Brahmana born in a Brahmana family, even if he has to perform Vedic sacrifices, he has to become initiated and reform in order to become qualified to perform Vedic sacrifices. What to speak of a Swadaha, a Chandala. But by the process of devotional service, he immediately becomes qualified to perform Vedic sacrifices, which means he has become reformed of all his sinful reactions. The reason why he is born in the dog-eater family is because of Prarabdha karma. You agree? We said about Prarabdha karma, because of which one is taken low birth. Right? One gets diseases, lack of beauty, lack of intelligence, lack of money, so on and so forth. It's because of Prarabdha karma. Sinful birth is because of Prarabdha karma. Swadaha means Chandala or a dog eater who is a sinful karma. But he instantly becomes qualified to perform Vedic sacrifices. That means he has become instantly purified by following Bhakti. So this is one proof that Prabhupada points out from Bhagavatam. The other proof Prabhupada mentions, you can look at it. Krishna says in 11th canto, Uddhava, my dear Uddhava, devotional service in relationship with me is like a blazing fire that can burn to ashes all the fuel of sinful activities supplied to it. Everything, prarabdha, aprarabdha. The third verse is from Padma Purana. Aprarabdha phalam papam kutam bijam phalonmukam kramenaiva praliyeta Vishnu bhakti ratatmanam. One who is engaged in devotional service of Vishnu, all these four things, as I said, aprarabdha, kutam, bijam, phalonmukham, kramenaiva praliyeta. This is the glory of Bhakti. All the parts of the tree are addressed with Bhakti. Now, does this happen only in advanced stages of Bhakti? That's the question. So you read Prabhupada's purport towards the ending, he writes this. Again, very technical details. So you see Bhakti, the progress of Bhakti is divided into two stages roughly. The top stage is Santata, always engaged in devotion. And the bottom stage is Kadachitki, means sometimes engaged in devotion. Or to use exact words Prabhupada gave, Santata means service that continues incessantly with faith and love. Kadachitki means service that does not continue incessantly, but sometimes awakened. In these also there are divisions. Santata has two divisions. There is slight attachment, and then there is spontaneous devotional service. I think I should reverse the order. The spontaneous devotional service is top. Slight attachment is bottom. That is in Santata. Kadachitki means there are three stages. One is Raga Bhasamayi, means almost attached. Then Raga Bhasa Shunya Swarupa Bhuta. What it means is, there is no spontaneous love, Shunya, Raga Bhasa Shunya. But Swarupa Bhuta, but he likes being servant of Krishna, constitutionally, Swarupa Bhuta. And then there is Abhasa Rupa, a slight glimpse. Prabhupada says, a slight glimpse of devotional service. So that is the lowest stage of Bhakti, slight glimpse of devotional service. Bhakti Abhasa, we say. So these are the 5 stages one progresses. From Abhasa Rupa, Raga Bhasa, yes. Can we further go down? Yes, I'm sure we can. There is Bhakti in 3 modes, mode of ignorance and so on and so forth. I'm sure we can. There is a lot of things underneath that also. Huh? Anybody? So now the interesting part. So Jiva Goswami says, in Abhasa Rupa itself, which is compared to, Abhasa means what? The actual meaning of Abhasa means reflection. Or if Bhakti, full pure Bhakti is compared to like the sunlight, glowing sun, this Abhasa is like the twilight. Yeah, Namabhasa means twilight.
That is, I thought it's offense you're doing, like
Namabhasa means offenseless. Namaparada means offensive. Okay. So Abhasa Rupa means slight glimpse of devotion. It's compared to twilight. All the reactions of sinful life are uprooted and vanquished. I'll read Prabhupada's purport, those 2-3 statements in that. So he says, even in the stage of Abhasa Rupa Bhakti, all the reactions of sinful life are uprooted and vanquished. Srila Jiva Goswami expresses the opinion that the word katsnyena means that even if one has a desire to commit sinful actions, the roots of that desire are vanquished merely by Abhasa Rupa Bhakti. The example of Bhaskara, the sun, is most appropriate. The Abhasa feature of Bhakti is compared to twilight, and the accumulation of one's sinful actions is compared to fog. Since fog does not spread throughout the sky, the sun need do no more than merely manifest its first rays, and the fog immediately disappears. Similarly, if one has even a slight relationship with devotional service, all the fog of his sinful life is immediately vanquished. Now you see the glory of bhakti, even in the lowest stage. Of course, to come to that stage also may be challenging for many neophytes. Abhasa Rupa means slight glimpse. That destroys all sinful reactions. That is the glory of bhakti. That is why kechit, the word kechit is used, means only few people. Kechit, not everyone can take to Krishna consciousness. Manushyanam sahasreshu. Usually people are stuck in either karma kanda, jnana kanda, or yoga paths. But to cross all of that, to meet a pure devotee, come to the stage of pure devotional service, and then to become a pure devotee amongst that, it's very, very rare. Kechit. So anyway, I'll not go into, because we are out of time. I'll see if anybody has 1 or 2 questions.
Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
1 second, Shijish. Huh? Yes, Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam. If you surrender to Krishna, Krishna will eradicate all your sinful reactions. Ma Suchaha. Don't worry. One more evidence. Very nice. Yeah, Rasa Priyaman. When you do chanting with offenses,
like if a lot of offense is happening, like smoking and all, like those things are happening, what happens to them?
while you are committing, while you are doing devotional service, are you sowing more seeds of sinful reaction? Of course. That's why it is said, once you surrender to Krishna, all your so far actions are excused. Don't commit more such sinful reactions, sinful actions. So don't commit more seeds. So Krishna has excused all of whatever you've done, and he has given you a path. Follow my path, surrender to me. If you do this, you'll remain immune. But if you voluntarily keep on committing, of course, the holy name, it will excuse all of your sinful reactions, but not if you abuse the holy name. That is the aparadha. But occasional things are excused. Apichet suduracharo, occasional durachara, sinful actions are excused. Bhajate mam ananya bhak, sadhureva samantavya. Yeah. So that's a good question. So devotees undergoing difficult time, is it considered because of sinful reactions you're facing, or is it because of Krishna's? It is because of Krishna's orchestration in their life. One who is surrendered to Krishna, there cannot be any manifestation of sinful reactions. It is only Krishna orchestrating different situations in their life for them to become more attached to Krishna. and or for showing it to others as instruction, or to deepen the faith of the devotee. So we should think like that. Whatever is happening is because it's Krishna's will. Shijish.
Prabhu, just watching, will it have the seed, or contemplating on it will have the seed? Because we watch or thoughts comes up, but only when we contemplate.
Only contemplate is what Krishna says. When you contemplate, watching, if you watch 2-3 times, then you will contemplate. So yes, watching is excused, but if you contemplate on it, a seed is sown.
Okay.
Skip that.
Yeah, skip ad. Sukada is saying, like YouTube has skip ad. The moment you start about to hit the contemplate button, hit that skip button. Skip ad. Hare Krishna. Are we in? I don't know about you, but I know what stage I am in. Like Achintya asked, no, is there lower stages? I have to find where I am there. But I mean, usually neophytes are in Abhasa Rupa. Raga Bhasa Shunya Swarupa Bhakti means they have come to, I'll read the description where Prabhupada talks about devotional service in which there is no spontaneous love, but one likes the constitutional position of serving. So that is the second stage. Yes, following the instructions of the spiritual master is same as surrendering to Krishna. Anybody, Shinu, you had a question? Okay, yeah, go ahead. Right. Our own purification. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, that means Bhakti includes the most best knowledge. He is considered the best knowledgeable, Nanavan. Bhakti already includes knowledgeable. Karmi means he is not even transcendentalist. Jnani is at least transcendentalist. The perfect Jnani is who has come to the point of surrender to Krishna. We'll discuss more. Already late. Nandraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.